Matrices and trade-off. Managers, they use different matrices to manage and control operations. Okay, some of the matrices are profit, cost, productivity, forecast accuracy. Okay, what are these matrices? These are some ratios, these are some guidelines based on which we try to understand whether we are in the right direction or not, whether we are doing things in the right way or not. A trade-off is giving up one thing in return for something else. So what is this trade-off? Sometimes we can have low inventory, but that will increase the dissatisfaction of the customers. So low inventory is low cost, but it will increase the dissatisfaction of the customers. So dissatisfied customers, which is not good. So there is a trade-off in between. So you have to decide what you are going to do. Degree of customization. So more things are customized, the more labor intensive it is. If you go to a store and tell them that you want a particular type of furniture which is not readily available, so maybe they have to order the manufacturer to make that particular furniture for you. So that makes it more labor intensive. It will take more time. It will require much skilled workforce. It requires more flexibility. Many companies may not be able to do that. The volume of output decreases and it has got a higher price tag. A lot of computer manufacturers, they allow customization to some extent. So companies like Dell, you can go to their website and you can customize the laptop which you want to buy. You can choose the RAM, you can choose the type of monitor, you can choose the color of the cover and the battery life and so on and so forth. So, but that makes it more expensive. The more you customize it, that increases the price of the commodity. Establishing priorities. In nearly all cases, certain issues or items are more important than the other. So you should understand that, like in a business scenario, there can be hundreds of items, but you may not be able to attend all of those. You have to attend those which are most important, because your resources or your manpower is limited. So sometimes we use the Pareto phenomena. Pareto phenomena says that you focus your attention on commodities or on goods which impact your profit more. So Pareto says that 80% of the profit comes from, say, 20% of the goods. Again, those numbers can vary, those percentages can vary, but the basic idea is there are few items which affect your bigger percentage of profit, which has a big impact on your profit. So because your resources are limited, it is judicious, or it is more justified to focus more on that 20% of the item, because if you do that correctly, you will be addressing 80% of your profit margin. System approach. So every organization has got systems, like the marketing subsystem, operation subsystem, or financial subsystem. I think I talked about this before. There are a set of interrelated parts that must work together. Again, they are not independent, they're linked with one another. And sometimes we do a mistake by taking decision in isolation. We think that each department is a silo, but that is it's a wrong way of looking into business. Each of these subsystems are related with one another, and you have to take a macroscopic view if you have to optimize the overall profit. Ethical issues in business there are some ethical issues which you should always take a look into before you take any decision. Worker safety, product safety, quality, environment, community, welfare of the community, workers' right. So some of these are enforced by law and some are not. But there are companies, even though it is not enforced by law, but still they keep these into higher priority because for them those are ethical issues, and you cannot forget ethical issues. Historical evolution of operations management. Operations management started with that industrial revolution. These are some scientific tools. This has been developed by scientists and engineers, and then again they have changed over time. Different human relation movement has also affected operations management. Management science, decision models are part of that operations management. To a big extent, Japanese manufacturers have impacted operations management, and specifically as quality comes into picture, we rely more and more on Japanese manufacturers. They are the one who have given the most importance on quality, and they have showed how quality improvement can make a company more profitable and at the same time long lasting. So you can get more satisfied customers in the long run if you have better quality, which in turn impacts your profitability and also the survival of the company. There are other terms which we will be covering in this course, like just-in-time production, quality revolution. So again, there are different chapters where we will be targeting some of these, but let me just talk about just-in-time. The just-in-time, this term can be a little confusing. A lot of companies have started just-in-time manufacturing. What does it mean? Does it mean that within a second you get your supplies and you get the things done? No. Just-in-time means, another term for just-in-time is lean operation. Just-in-time means you will keep your inventory as low as possible, and you will order your suppliers when you have a demand from your customers. So you don't have piles of inventory, piles of raw material, and then you produce your goods and then try to push it to your customers. But this approach is different. It is called a pull concept. The demand should come from the customers. Once you understand the demand, then you start manufacturing and procure your raw material as and when required. So that is just in time. There are different trends in business like e-business, e-commerce. Any business done using electronic media is e-business. Management of technology. Now, most companies are technology driven, and it's mostly information technology, IT tools. Most companies, or many companies, are global, both for sourcing of raw material and also for selling their product. So this is a more globalized business. Management of supply chain. So as I said before, like we have supply chain is becoming more and more important because you don't make all your components which goes into your product yourself. You get it from your suppliers. So managing their suppliers is supply chain management. Outsourcing, whatever process is not profitable for you to do yourself or in-house, you outsource it. Then there are ethical business, there is agility, flexibility, and things like that. So these are the new trends in business. Why more and more supply chain is becoming important, and what are the different terms? Now, in the past, companies were more vertically integrated. What does it mean? They used to produce their own raw material. They used to produce their own, they used to have their own transportation company, or it was a privately owned transportation company. But more and they used to have their warehouses and distribution centers. But more and more companies rely on outside organizations for their supplies, for their logistics activities. So for that, managing the supply chain is becoming more and more important. So that's why we see that the number of jobs in the supply chain sector has increased manifold, especially in cities like Dallas. There are thousands or hundred thousands of supply chain jobs, and it is growing every year because of this. What are the different elements of supply chain? Customers, forecasting, design, capacity, planning, processing. Customers is, you should know your customers before you start producing your goods. Forecasting is a way of understanding customers' demand. Design, incorporating customer wants. Manufacturability, you don't make your product, or you don't design a product which you cannot manufacture. So before you design, you should make sure that you'll be able to make that product. Capacity planning, as I talked before, like every company wants to match the supply and demand. So that is capacity planning. Processing, quality, controlling the quality and scheduling work. So these are again different elements of the supply chain. Inventory, any raw material or semi-finished goods, those are called inventory. Purchasing is an important component of the supply chain because you have your suppliers from whom you purchase either raw material or semi-finished goods. You have suppliers, and you have to monitor the quality of the suppliers. So there are different tools. Again, there is a whole suite of software which is called the supplier management system, supplier management system, SMS, which is targeted towards supplier. Location, where do you locate your retail facility, where do you locate your distribution center? So you have a distribution center here. From there you send your goods to a logistics, to a retail center, and this movement of goods between different supply chain players is called logistics. Both movement and the storage of goods is called logistics. So logistics is a part of supply chain. I'm sure you have heard this term again and again, but what is that? So the movement of goods and the storage of goods efficiently is called logistics. So this last slide talks about critical thinking exercises. There are many organizations offer a combination of goods and services to their customer. As you learn in this chapter, there are some key differences between production of goods and delivery of services. So what do you think those differences are? Just think about it. Okay. Why is it important to match the supply and demand? So I think we have discussed this before. The more you can match the supply and demand, the more profit you can make in your organization, because you will have less wastage and less dissatisfied customer. So this chapter 1 ends here. I hope you have got an overall understanding what this field of operations management is. Thank you.